Now you're very welcome back to Sunday AM. From Fitz in Strumpet City to Flurry Knox in the Irish RM, and of course the evil Trevor Jordache in Brookside. Bryan Murray is no stranger to iconic television roles, even winning the BBC TV Personality of the Year for his portrayal of Shifty in Bread. Remember it well.
And now, not content with starring in Fair City, he's taken on the role of iconic Irish comedian Dave Allen in what is a unique stage show based on the controversial Dublin man's life. You're very welcome, Brian.
Thanks very much. Nice to be here.
Lovely to
Controversial, I suppose, is one way of describing him. He was more or less banned from Irish television for a long number of years.
He was a couple of leaps before Irish television.
He was.
Do you know what I mean? Down the line. And essentially, I didn't realise this until we got the script. Brian McAvera wrote the script. And the fact of the matter is that his television work started on Australian television.
Right, okay.
Because he had nowhere to go, really.
Yeah.
And he got the opportunity of going out there, and he learnt his craft.
Yeah.
And he started to do kind of funny sketches and stuff like that. And then eventually he kind of got to be the Dave Allen that we know now. And there are so many people out there who will remember him, but it's hard for us to remember that before him, there wasn't that kind of comedy, really. Comedians told jokes. This, ha, ha, ha.
Yeah.
And Dave didn't tell jokes, he just told stories
well,
and made you laugh.
He was really influential in terms of, obviously, his comedic value. But, I mean, thank God for YouTube, because I had to go and research him, obviously, to speak with you today. And I suppose, in a way, he was a little bit ahead of my time.
Yeah, of
so
course.
reading and viewing everything about him, he was outstanding. He reminded me of Father Ted a little bit, Dermot Moran.
Well, yeah, he had that kind of inner Irish charm that he didn't use as a weapon. He sat on that, I think, in a way. But he spoke to the audience in a way that wasn't polished. It wasn't a performance. He just had the microphone and he was there just talking about this and that.
With a cigarette and a glass of whiskey.
And a glass of, which was real whiskey.
All the time.
He seemingly smoked Galwa cigarettes, and he smoked 80 a day. So
80 a day.
the good old days.
The good old indeed.
When you could smoke on television, of course, yeah.
And as a little aside, on stage when you were portraying him, will you have a cigarette and a
You have to.
and a
Of
glass
course,
of
you're going
whiskey?
to have to do that, yeah.
And a glass of whiskey that isn't whiskey.
It's tea.
yeah.
The play itself, it isn't a reconstruction of a Dave Allen performance. There's a lot more to it than that. Tell us about it.
It isn't. No, it's to do with Dave Allen, the man, and Dave Allen's background and where he came from. I didn't know that he was born in Old Bawn, not too far away from here. That's where he essentially, David Tynan O'Mahony.
In rather lofty.
Yes, it was a middle class background. His father was in the Irish Times and not a reporter, but on the board, I think, of the Irish Times. I'm not quite sure about that, but I know he was in the Irish Times. And they were quite well-to-do family, and him going off to do what he was doing was a bit kind of not what a man that came from there would have done.
Absolutely. I mean, he really conquered so many, and he hit so many goalposts. I mean, not only did he go and work with the BBC, as you mentioned, Australian TV, so this was unheard of an Irish broadcaster to do it at that time.
Exactly. And when I think that when you're living abroad as an Irish person, which I've done for a great number of years, only came back in the last 10, that you kind of discover your Irishness really abroad, which is something that you really wear with pride.
You do.
Okay.
And it isn't kind of like, he was never Irish, but he sent up the Irishness of it.
Yeah.
But there was a kind of a genuine, warm quality, and he was such a debonair man, the way he dressed and the way he kind of...
Very handsome.
Very handsome, and always wore the red...
And I noticed that. Is that
your nod today?
That's my nod today.
That's lovely.
Yeah.
It's a very nice touch. Yeah. But again, watching some interviews with him, one thing he said really struck me, because his presentation style was very kind of laid back, and he said glass of whiskey and cigarette. But he said that behind that there was like, his brain was in overdrive. There's a million thoughts a minute going on in there, but you never know it by the way he presented.
You can kind of see it if you look on you were saying YouTube. He's all over YouTube.
He's all over YouTube.
Wonderful.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah.
And you can see that he's thinking of the next thing when he's talking about where will I lead this to. It's obvious that he had a whole variety of things he could do, and he would choose this one and choose that one and choose the other one. So it was all very organic and happening.
What a skill, though. What a skill.
Oh, great.
Yeah, of course, he's a very organic, I suppose, comedian slash broadcaster slash actor. And when you look at people like Louis Theroux, who do documentaries at the moment, do you think he influenced them in terms of their style, or Dylan Moran, for example, Irish comedians of that sense?
I think that, these kind of influences happen subliminally sometimes. You don't know that you're doing necessarily that you've picked up something from somebody else. But if you see somebody as brilliantly talented as Dave Allen or Louis Theroux and his wonderful documentaries, you can't help but say, oh, that's great. So they'd be your guiding light in a way.
The irreverence of you know, his jokes, and I suppose his format that was unique.
And it was less formal. He just stood there, as we said, and chatted. And
what sort of a personal life did he have? What was it like off camera?
He had, as we all have had his ups and downs. He had a brother Michael who was older than he, and he was the one that was expected to do great things in life, seemingly, by the family. And he started out well, and then he just didn't go anywhere, and he became an alcoholic. So there was all that kind of. So he comes in and out of the play. We have Michael Bates and Tara Breathnach and myself, and the three of us play Dave Allen.
Explain to me, like, Tara's role. How does Tara, a lady, play Dave Allen, a man?
Yes, well, she's the one who's kind of monitoring us and is kind of asking us, if you like, as it were, in the afterlife, to come on out and face your demons and have a look. So she's encouraging, she's our better selves to come out and encourage us to come out and gets us to face the kind of the things that we don't necessarily want to face. And I'm the kind of the TV bonhomie guy, and Michael then is the more serious kind of questioning guy. So it's very cleverly done, directed.
And you're very well cast in that role, actually.
Yeah, I was just about to say.
You know, I can see. You know, I can see there's like similarities in terms of the look, anyway. So that should work pretty well.
We have to talk a tiny bit about even your work, because of course you've worked for Brookside, you've done The Tudors, I mean, millions of movies, The Bill. I've seen you in everything.
Yes, I know. I've been
such a massive cache of work, Brian.
Yeah, it's been good. I've always wanted to be on television. From the time that long before your time, when Television started in 1963. Standing there, the way, you know, as a young lad, you'd stand looking at the TV, up close to it like that. And first time I became aware of it, I thought, that's what I want to do.
Yeah. Really? And you've had a very long career.
And you've managed to do it. Tell us, where can we see the play?
Well, we're in the Civic Theatre from the 13th to the 18th of March, and we're in Galway on the 21st of March. We're in Angrian on Letterkenny on the 22nd of March. We're at the Theatre Royal in Waterford on the 24th of March.
Long drive.
Wexford Arts said absolutely, the 25th of March. And then we're in the Viking Theatre here in Dublin from the 27th of March to the 8th of April. So you have no excuse.
Yeah, wow. I don't know where you find the time to do it all, Brian, but you do.
We do, yeah. Well, you know, we're going to be a long time dead.
Good on you. It sounds absolutely brilliant. I must check that out.
Yeah,
really
good.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming in. Best of luck with the run as well. I'm sure it's going to be hugely successful. Looking forward to catching it in the Theatre Royal in Waterford myself on the 24th.
Oh, very good. Thanks a lot.
All right, thanks, Brian.